Unruly Heroes had an odd launch. While it's not related to the gameplay, normally when a game drops out of the sky and keys are delivered late to reviewers, it means something is wrong. So when I saw Unruly Heroes had a secretive 5-day Twitter countdown that, surprise, ended up having the game come out, I was skeptical. However, there's nothing amiss with the game. In some ways, I even like Unruly Heroes and expect a lot of people to enjoy it even more than I have. There's quite a few small annoyances that build up and contaminate the good times I was having. So first, what are you doing in the game? Well, it's an action platformer with some fighting or brawling elements. The 4 characters seem to be on a quest of some sort, but I didn't really pick up exactly what's going on. It seems there's some evil in the world that our heroes need to defeat. There might be a scroll that got broken apart and you need to collect the pieces of. I don't really know. The characters are pretty cool, and I can tell there's a monkey and a pig, but the other two, maybe a human? I don't know. Switching between the 4 characters definitely gives me Trine vibes, and it's sort of like that. There's specific puzzle areas that you need to figure out, and it requires a specific character. For example, there are statues that enhance a character. Like the monkey statue grows his staff to span entire gaps so you can run over it. However, there's a much bigger focus on combat in Unruly Heroes than Trine. Each level is a mix of combat, then puzzle, then combat, then platforming. The pacing keeps the levels exciting. There's no way you can get bored during the level in this way. The combat is like an arena where you face many enemies at a time and you're locked into that area. Most of the time, the combat takes place at different elevations, which is good. It is also enhanced with puzzle mechanics. For example, there's one room where I had to rotate something to pull back battering rams, then hit a switch to release them so I could knock down a platform of enemies. This one particularly sticks out in my mind as very fun to play and figure out. The platforming gets a little too precise for my tastes. How am I expected to pixel-perfect jump over an instant death buzzsaw on the edge of a platform is beyond me. I spent 10 minutes trying to defeat one ledge. There are some harrowing positions of wall jumping, moving platforms, and spikes that you have to contend with. Anyway, Unruly Heroes surely has a nice coat of paint. The game is beautiful and some fantastic character designs. I can tell they put a lot of thought behind the environments of each level. You can enjoy exploring the game because it's so pretty. Ori and the Blind Forest definitely comes to mind as an equivalent. Also, some characters are voice acted and written perfectly for a game like this.
Heroes beware. Though your fates are written, the road ahead is perilous. To keep the world from endless night, you'll test your limits against fearsome foes. No pressure, though. You've got this. Now where was I? Danger, fearsome foes, eternal darkness... Right!
Where everybody knows they're playing a game. The playable characters are cool too, but my favorite has to be the pig character. He can grow to an enormous size as his statue fills him with air. Even his moveset has him growing huge to crush enemies. It's silly and fun. And his little pig ears flap as he floats down. That's his power but after jumping. The other characters are great too, and are easily my favorite part of the game. They each feel incredibly different to play. Great for when you get bored of one and want to change it up. However, the best strategy is to only play with one character to keep the health bars up on the others. Now, I realize that multiple characters was added specifically to make couch co-op an option, but it's fun alone. You must switch between them during gameplay anyway. However, I do wish that there were more interaction between them. I wish swapping in for brawling had a bigger impact, which also leads me to wonder what part of the game gets better with co-op. Of course, a game gets better playing with a friend, and that's true for all games. But what's enhanced with a second player? I can see some of the puzzle rooms being easier, but as far as I can tell, it's well balanced to play alone. Side note, for those wondering about the coins I'm collecting, they're only for purchasing character skins. Now, there's 2,700 coins with usually 100 coins per level. You can do the math and figure out about how many levels are in the game. By now, you must be wondering what issues I have with Unruly Heroes. Well, it's the simple stuff. There's small mechanics that stand out as hampering the fun, like trying to throw anything, which applies to the human statue. He has to aim a bouncing ball, and if you don't align the angle perfectly, it doesn't work. Completely grinds the game to a halt as you try relentlessly to aim this bouncy ball over and over. And I got really stuck on one part where I had to perfectly aim it to bounce it off another thing, and they put a wall in the way, and so it had to finally make it over there. I got stuck there way too long, and I was so frustrated at this one part of the game that seemed so stupid. In the grand scheme of things, they're tiny, right? But it's many small issues like this that add up. It's the controls, though, that's really the main issue. It bleeds into everything. And sloppy isn't exactly the right word I want to use. It's better than that. But they're off. They're slack. I missed plenty of jumps, and trying to dodge attacks is always several frames too late. Unruly Heroes is set up so that you still need to dodge even if you're attacking an enemy. There's no stun locking. However, the exclamation mark is hard to see, and when you do press jump, it's just a hair too late. It can be frustrating to take the damage if the game wasn't so lenient about it. For how heavily focused the game is on combat, they took a soft stance on it. With 4 health bars, it's pretty easy to get through the game. Also, they didn't explain any of the combos, and I know there are combos. I can see the different moves if I end with a heavy attack. I found button mashing normal attack to be effective enough anyway. But with the controls the way that they are, I ended up hitting the attack button too many times, even on walls that aren't attacking me back, and I'll end up just striking the empty air, which is probably the most obvious example that the controls need work. Also, there's a lack of satisfying impacts. There's not enough oomph. It can be a pain in the ass to clear an entire room of enemies all throwing spears at you. Now, there is some challenge for the bosses, where it's a little more difficult to bring a character back to life. The bosses are designed well, and I enjoyed the challenge. But the first boss, it's the most exciting. What's so cool is that she follows you through several levels until the final confrontation. It was impressive and a great way to start the game, but it hasn't been replicated since. Overall, Unruly Heroes is good, but mixed, so it will depend on the player. I love all the color, interesting locations, characters, and artwork. The levels are so varied that they keep me engaged. The controls killed it for me though, and after the first boss is defeated, the game kind of falls off and becomes formulaic, even though they're trying to throw so many new mechanics at the player. Shit, I didn't even go into the fact that you have to possess other creatures. I expect many players to enjoy Unruly Heroes much more than me. There's definitely enough to recommend the game, but keep in mind the shortcomings I noted.